Springfield's News Talk FM 1041 KSGF 840. Good morning. Streaming live at KSGF.com. I'm Nick Reed, and we've got Scott Rupp with us. He is running for Secretary of State. Are there two of you in the primary? I know Shane Schoeller's running, and then...
There's actually three.
There's three. Who's the third?
Another state senator from Saline County named Bill Stouffer.
Oh, that's right. That's right. I knew he was running. He was at the Greene County Lincoln days. I recall that. Before we talk about what it is Secretary of State does, because I think a lot of people on the state level, they just have no idea at all. They just no concept of what the job does. Tell us about you.
Oh, sure. I'm a state senator from Lincoln and St. Charles County. My wife and I got 5 kids under the age of 10, so getting out and traveling is an experience for us with a lot of them in tow.
Just put them in a U-Haul back behind you.
You got to have like almost a cargo van anymore to drive them around. I used to own 3 small businesses. I went to Mizzou, got out, and went right into a small bit, opened a financial services company. Then I opened a college prep company to help kids get higher scores on ACTs and get scholarships to get into college, and had a mortgage business as well. And went into the Missouri Senate in 2006, and just have been there since then. And now we're looking to run. We are running for Secretary of State.
Why should people care about Secretary of State position? I mean, people, I think now more than my lifetime anyhow, are focused and concerned about what is going on at the direction of the country. And they generally focus on president, maybe Congress, the Senate, sometimes they're local. But Secretary of State is one that people, I don't think they really know what it does. They know what a national Secretary of State does, and they're like, well, that doesn't make sense on the state level, so I don't even know what this position does. What does a Secretary of State do? What are they supposed to do? Why does it matter?
It is the largest state office besides the governor in the state, and it does touch everyone in some way, shape, or form. And it should matter to everyone because we're at 9% unemployment. The front door to doing business in Missouri is the Secretary of State's, a door. So every time you open a business, expand a business, you have to go to the Secretary of State's office. So you want to make sure they have someone in there that's actually ran a business and understands, how to, get rid of the regulations and all the things that keep people from taking a risk and hiring somebody. It also governs all the securities laws. That's important because you have, retirement accounts. A lot of seniors are living off their retirement accounts. And just look at MF Global on Obama's buddy John Corzine that went in and stole hundreds of thousands of dollars out of Missouri farmers' accounts, and spent it somewhere else. So that those types of things, can be governed by the Secretary of State's office. Plus, it governs all the elections. That touches everyone. We've seen, with unfair ballot language from Robin Carnahan where, she's cozied up to groups like Acorns and things like that, you want to make sure you have a fair ballot language. We passed photo ID. We're going to be able to vote on putting that in our Constitution this year. You can't go to Blockbuster and run a movie without showing a photo ID, but, you can go in and vote without showing one. So again, making sure we have free and fair elections and cleaning up the voter rolls and things of that nature. So it does a lot of other things besides that are smaller, but those are the main 3 things that it does.
I think that the U.S. Senate race that's going on lends a little bit of, knowledge when it comes to this, because one of the things that Sarah Steelman talks about on, certain levels within the state government that oftentimes aren't really focused on so much is what an impact that those positions that aren't so well known can have. And oftentimes she talks about Missouri being the first state that sort of cut off, I think it was with Iran.
Tariff-free.
Tariff-free. And I think that people don't realize, they think that a governor does that on a state level and maybe the legislature, but they don't realize that other offices do have that sort of impact, whether it be, a Secretary of State position or state treasurer position or whatever it may be.
It does. And when Sarah was a treasurer, I was a state senator that did some of that legislation for her because of my securities background. I used to own my own securities firm. So we were able to work together on that. But there are so many offices that do touch people's daily lives. I mean, just think even the Secretary's office, administrative rulemaking. It governs all the libraries, all the state archives, all the historical societies, around. So there's so many things that it does. It does touch people's lives in so many ways. But really, if you have a job and you're trying to open your own business, I mean, you will be interacting with the Secretary's office.
We're talking with Scott Rupp, running for Secretary of State in the Republican primary. How much of a difference does it make? We talk about the fact that I'm opening a small business, so I have to deal with Secretary of State's office. Though, if I'm dealing with a hassle with the Secretary of State, and I'm like, I'm upset about this, is it the sort of thing say, hey, well, the legislature makes these rules, not me. How much of those rules that are there, how much of the headaches that are there, does the Secretary of State's office have control over?
It has a lot of control because, just the way that you interact and how easy it is. And do you need to go hire an attorney to start a new S Corp or C Corp or LLC, or should you just be able to go in and easily navigate your way through the system? So it does have a lot of autonomy on how to deal with that. Now, if the legislature passes some type of law, new regulation, It has to do that. One of the things that I passed is I was a senator that passed all the illegal immigration laws here in the state. And one of the things I put in there that the main enforcer of that is the Secretary of State's office. So that is something that the legislature, I passed when I was a senator, and then I would have to enforce when I am a Secretary of State. Rob Carnahan's not going to enforce it, but, obviously we will. So that's something where the legislature passed it, and then the Secretary has the duty and the responsibility to enforce those laws.
This is an open seat that people are going to be vying for. Are there, though, things, just so people can draw a contrast, that Secretary of State Carnahan has done or continues to do, be it in the past or not, that are just egregious examples of this is what you don't want a Secretary of State to be doing? This is a sort of damage that having the wrong person in this position can do.
For how long is your show? There's a lot. We can just look at the ballot language. Just using emotional terms, unfair ballot language. She's been overturned more times on ballot language than any other Secretary of State in the history of the state combined. Just you look at the financial side. Whenever time she goes in and investigates some type of securities firm and she slaps them with a fine, well, a portion of that money goes into a little, what I call a slush fund, and then she uses that amount of money to then run ads on the Rams games and the Chiefs games and the Cardinal games, talking about, protecting and scaring seniors from investing. I looked over the last 15 years, and $12 million has flown through that fund. And in 2010, she spent $7 million of that. Well, 2010 just happened to be the year she was running for U.S. Senate. So you can go back, and there's a lot of things that she's been doing that just really just doesn't pass the sniff test. And, she's just pushing a liberal agenda through the office, and you need someone there that's going to be fair, that has the private experience in business to understand how it should run efficiently. And really, you want your Secretary of State to not be seen. You want it just to run smoothly, and everybody that interacts with it just has a great experience and moves on.
Talking with Scott Rupp, running for Secretary of State in the Republican ticket and primary. We'll have that vote be August 3rd? 7th? It's in August. It's on a Tuesday.
It's a Tuesday in August.
Any final thoughts you have for the listeners today? I know you're in Joplin yesterday. You're traveling Waynesville, Raleigh. You're doing like so many others are. Particularly, we see a lot of Republicans, be it for U.S. Senate or governor. Now, Secretary of State really coming through and doing a lot of traveling through the state. What is it that you want people in this part of the state to know about you, or just anything at all?
Yeah, first to go to RuppForMissouri.com. That's all spelled out, RuppForMissouri.com, and you can just learn more about us. When you actually study the candidates, I have a long track record of getting successful conservative issues done. I was a state senator that passed Proposition C, the Healthcare Freedom Act, and put it on the ballot so everybody in this area, over 70%, should say no to Obamacare and have the first mandate. We did all the illegal immigration laws for the state. Have consistently been 100% pro-life and passed legislation to stop your tax dollars from funding abortion here in Missouri. And if you go back to us, we consistently have gotten successes on conservative issues. And I think when you look at that, plus our private experience of owning small businesses, owning the financial firm, and things of that nature, that we have the most experience and the conservative track record to be a great Secretary of State. So learn about the candidates. Follow us on Twitter, on Facebook, and on our website. And if you have any questions, you can email us through there, and we'll gladly answer anything you have.
All right, Scott Rupp, and we'll have all those links and everything on our website, too. That way our listeners can easily find it at ksgf.com.